Some headlines and then this foolishness and the buzz on social media with today's hashtags. And first up, a possible meltdown in Minnesota. This week, wide receiver Adam Thielen publicly called out his team's struggling passing offense. Then, believe it or not, quarterback Kirk Cousins went on a local radio station and apologized to Thielen for missing throws, which is not exactly something my man TB would do, I don't think.
No.
But maybe Cousins apologized to the wrong receiver. That's because by week's end, there was a lot of talk that Stephon Diggs is demanding a trade, which he did not deny by saying, quote, "There's truth to all rumors." Jay will have more on that in just a bit. And as you can see, fans on social media are having no problem describing the mess in Minnesota these days. And while we're talking about the Vikings and Giants, there's also another Minnesota-New York battle going on right now in the American League Divisional Series. Yesterday, the Yankees beat up on the Twins, while the Astros also hit the Rays. Each team now just one win away from the ALCS. You can catch the American League playoffs tomorrow and all week long on FS1 as we head toward the World Series and a spectacular month of sports right here on Fox. And guys, watching the pre- and post-game show, it was great to see Big Papi back in action in the Fox studio with those bedazzled earpieces. I don't know if you saw that.
Only Papi can get away with that.
He carried it off. Hey, you know what? It's not bright and shiny in Minnesota right now. TB, you take a look at this Vikings squad. What's going on? How do you fix it?
Well, I'm going to say what I actually have to repeat myself from Fox Thursday Night Football because basically here's what happened. They thought they needed just the quarterback, so they go out and get Kirk Cousins and give him all that money. The problem's not Kirk Cousins. They are built to throw the football. You look at it, Diggs and Thielman. You're talking about Rudolph. They took a great pass receiving tight end and made him a blocker. And then you talk about Cook the runner. They are built to throw. The league is built to throw. And Zimmer, if you just want to run the football and lose football games, keep it up. You'll have another job. Maybe you can go to Michigan next year because that seems to be what they do in Michigan.
Terry, I think you're right. I think Zimmer would probably be happy if they ran the wishbone and didn't throw the ball at all. You know, he is so afraid that, Cousins is going to turn the thing over, either fumble it or throw an interception. And aren't you supposed to have chemistry between the quarterback and the receiver?
Chemistry.
Thielen and Diggs, there's no chemistry with the quarterback. And the other thing is, hey, this is a playoff team. And they've got to straighten it out somehow. They need an intervention. Cousins, Zimmer, and the receivers straighten it out because this team can go all the way.
The quarterback is playing too uptight. They just got to
Do you blame him?
Yeah,
he's playing uptight because they put him in that position to play uptight. I mean, you have Thielen, who is 64 million, Diggs 72 million, Cousins 84 million. That's $220 million in three guys. The one who's making the most, you don't let him do either what you brought him there for. And you're going to get the Giants defense, 25th ranked defense in yards per game in the pass. If you don't throw the ball today, you're showing us a lot about what you think about his abilities as a quarterback. You got to throw the ball today to win.
Jay's got some good stuff on Stephon Diggs. Before we get to that, though, Howie, I want to talk about the NFC West right now because after Thursday night, we saw Seattle beat up the Rams, making sure that it got off the ground successfully, and it's been good for a lot of folks. All right, thank you for indulging us for just a little bit. We've got more football to talk about as we continue, including the remarkable comeback story of Teddy Bridgewater. Doctors thought he might never play football again after a catastrophic knee injury, but now he's 2-0 filling in for Drew Brees in New Orleans. Meanwhile, over in London, Khalil...
On my toes, but I look like Joe Namath. Love Joe Namath.
All right, from that TB to another TB, that being Teddy Bridgewater, as the Bucs battle the Saints today. After Drew Brees went down with that thumb injury, Bridgewater has filled in to go 2-0, with both wins coming against previously unbeaten teams Seattle and Dallas. Now, I'm sure Chris Myers was probably a young hippie down in Miami when Simon and Garfunkel came out with that Bridge Over Troubled Water song. But Chris, there's absolutely no doubt that Teddy Bridgewater has kind of calmed the storm right when the Saints have needed him most.
Yeah, he really has. By the way, the loud suitors for the loud Superdome, Kurt, and a big hello from New Orleans. Yeah, there's a great sense of relief here in the Saints' relief quarterback. When Brees went down, Sean Payton turned to Bridgewater. He said, I always thought of you as a starter. You're paid like a starter. Do the job. And he has, as you mentioned, in a couple of big wins. But for a guy in his mid-20s, it's already been a long, hard road to recovery. Back in 2016, Bridgewater suffered what was a catastrophic lower leg injury. And at the time, it was thought he'd never play again, but Bridgewater, well, he thought otherwise.
Right now, I'm starting for the New Orleans Saints, and I'm loving it. Every day I wake up, and I find joy in just coming to this facility and being a part of this organization.
Well, let's go back to the injury, and forget maybe not even playing football again. There was the chance for a moment that you might lose your leg.
Right.
You were told that.
Yes.
Did you ever doubt and think that I may not play again?
I never once doubted it.
Really?
Yeah. You heard the numbers about, X amount of players never come back from these kind of injuries, and I told myself I didn't want to be another statistic. When I was at my lowest, I think, looking back at my mom, how she battled breast cancer, and when she was at her lowest, she was always positive. She continued to smile and, shed that positive energy into the universe, and that right there just served as reassurance to me that everything was going to be all right for me.
Teddy Bridgewater has taken over for the Saints at quarterback.
Well, I know everybody in the NFL is rooting for this guy.
Bridgewater in the gun, takes a snap, caught, touchdown, New Orleans Saints.
Let's go back to your first start in Seattle to get the game ball afterwards. Emotional moment for you, considering what you've been through?
Yeah, it was very emotional for me. Trying not to ball right now, but man, cherish this moment, man. Cherish these opportunities that we got. Cherish this feeling of winning, and just, man, never take it for granted. Just thinking back, my only playoff game that I played in was against Seattle, and for me, it was like I spent the last couple of years just thinking about how we could have beaten Seattle. For that to be my first start, I had played that game in my mind probably 20 times before I even stepped on the field. So I was glad to be back out there. After the game, I was able to just share an emotional message with the guys. And I love y'all.
And Drew Brees, what's the most important thing that you've learned from him? He told me that Teddy's Teddy, I'm me. I don't want to interfere with who he is,
right.
But if he needs me, I'm there.
Yes, that's what makes Drew so special. Here he is, one of the best quarterbacks to ever play this game, but he's able to bring himself to anyone's level. He doesn't think that he's better than the next man, and to have that relationship with Drew where he's in your corner no matter what, it means a lot to me.
Teddy Bridgewater was brought there for a reason. He's capable. He's a winner.
Every day presents you with a different opportunity, and right now my opportunity is, starting for the New Orleans Saints.
Now, when Bridgewater breaks the huddle, he says out loud, "Be you." It's really more for himself than his teammates. And when I asked him about his future, what's more likely, him playing for the Saints or starting as a quarterback somewhere else, Howie, he just said, "I'm living in the moment. Over time, that'll sort itself out."
Yeah, great piece. He's an extraordinary young man. What he's been through to just, when he talks about appreciate the moment, it certainly applies to his life. All he's been through, all he's had to overcome to get to this point. The Saints brought him in for a reason. Drew Brees goes down. They go up to Seattle. Great victory. Last week, it was all about the defense. They were dominant. I think they're going to have to open this offense up a little bit versus Tampa Bay, because this is not Dallas on offense. This is Tampa Bay, who's been lighting it up.
He could have left New Orleans, but he elected to stay there.
But they're going to need that defense. They're going to need that defense to play well, because Jameis Winston, Evans, and now Godwin, they have been lighting it up. And, it's the first time last week that this franchise has ever scored over 50 points in a game. Bruce Arians, he's been great for Winston. He's been great for this offense. And they are running the ball more, averaging over 100 yards a game, rushing the ball, which they haven't for the last few years. And with that being said, it takes so much pressure off of Jameis Winston. And you have to give credit to that offensive line, because if they're not playing well, none of this is possible. And this is their best chance of beating New Orleans. No Drew Brees, and they're very confident coming into this game.
The winner of this game will be in sole possession of first place in the NFC South. And I think, Jimmy, a lot of people thought the Falcons would be in that mix. We've talked about it, 1-3. What's wrong?
To try and solve that Vikings defense.
All right, these teams both 2-2, but they want to head in the right direction. We'll see a lot of talent on that field today. It's the Giants and the Vikings coming up next.
That's what I'm talking about.
For a future that looks a lot like Khalil Mack.
It's the magical month of October, and Fox's postseason baseball is in full swing. Tomorrow night, it's a pivotal Game 3 as Aaron Judge and the Bronx Bombers visit Minnesota's Bomba Squad. With a 2-game lead, the Yankees will try to close out the American League Division Series. Catch all the MLB action Monday at 8 Eastern on FS1.
Everybody!
The third quarter of that one while we get the coffee cleaned up on the desk. We will get it over here to you, Howie.
Get the actor.
We talked about it in the pregame while my man, who's a hot mess over there, we talked about in the pregame, Minnesota having to turn Kirk Cousins loose, trust him, and they've done that in this game. We talked about the yardage in the first half. Here on a simple run action to the left, boot to the right. This is a staple of the Denver offense under Gary Kubiak. I thought we'd see more of that in this offense. To Diggs for 16, then he hits Thielen for 13. These wide receivers did a lot of talking during the week, and squeaky wheel gets the oil. Then he hits TD for Thielen for 24 yards, 24 passes in the first half, 19 for 24 with 278, 1 TD.
This is why we can't have nice things here.
And for the Giants, it's got to be a mess, TD. But for the Giants, the Vikings are without Diggs, so without their other star receiver. Cover the good guy they have. Cover Thielen. Also, you got to tackle. You got to get Cook on the ground. You got to tackle. Giants defensively are showing a lot of holes right now. They have all season.
All right. They will also be on Fox on Thursday night, will the New York Football Giants, as they take on the New England Patriots. Pre-game performance, we'll call it that, last week against the New Orleans Saints. Both teams are 3-1, so it should be a good contest to welcome you to the State Farm Game Break Show. Talk about a good contest. I don't know how good it was, but it was a very good offensive performance from the Minnesota Vikings today after a week of controversy for their offense, Terry.
Turn him loose, let him play. Stephon Diggs complained. He missed practice, team meeting. Of course, Giants running back Wayne Gallman Jr. had to leave the football game, but Cousins 300 yards passing on the day. Finds Adam Thielen, big touchdown for him, 9-yard touchdown. Thielen, 7 for 130 yards, 28-10. Vikings beat the Giants.
So he had 130 receiving, 306 passing for Kirk Cousins. I guess that's one way to answer the critics. All right, Howie, we talk about answering the critics. He can say that his preparation was the same as it is every week, but the results were certainly different today.
It was an unusual week, to say the least. Thielen, in particular, is not a guy that you're typically used to hearing complaints about. Kirk Cousins had a good day, and I think he needed to have a good day to kind of stop the bleeding internally. Receivers had great days. Dalvin Cook was, as usual, both on the ground and through the air, but the big difference was kind of putting the ball in Cousins' hand, letting him throw the football. You have to do it.
You got to be free. You got to take that pressure off and let them just play. You can't sit there and demand something of them that really is not in their nature.
And they did a good job. They moved him around the pocket, did all those things. They went up against a Giant defense that couldn't cover you in a bed with a blanket right now. So it was like a nice. I know that was a little harsh, but it's true. But it's a very. It was the medicine they needed.
All right, let's cuddle up to some more highlights right now. Over in London, it's the Bears.
Passing 426 yards for Deshaun Watson, 53-32 over in Atlanta. Buccaneers at the Saints. Teddy Bridgewater in for Drew Brees. What a great game. Nobody in the backfield but him. Quick slant. There's the big guy, Michael Thomas, breaking tackles. A 12-yard touchdown. 4 touchdown passes for Bridgewater. Over 300 yards. 31-24.